Topic tonight is time, place, and person. In Hebrew, it's called Olam Shona Nefesh. Time, place, and person. The idea of time, place, and person is something that encompasses everything in the world. Sometimes there's a focus on place, sometimes there's a focus on time, sometimes there's a focus on person. But it's basically something that encompasses all the three factors of what the world consists of. In Kabbalah, the Sefer Yetzirah, which is a very famous Kabbalah Sefer, Kabbalah book says that the world was created with these three structures, these three features: place, time, and person. Olam Shona Nefesh. Olam is place, Shona year means time, and Nefesh means person. But tonight we're also going to discuss not only as it is fixed within a certain structure, a certain framework, but also how it's reflected in many different ways. How it's reflected in the world itself, that all these three factors are there. How it's reflected in the neshama of a person, how it in the soul of a person, how it is reflected in the body of the person, how it is reflected in the service of a person to the Almighty. And also discussing different cycles of time. The words Olam Shona Nefesh is also abbreviated with the word Osham. Osham, Ayin Shin Nun, is an abbreviation of Olam Shona Nefesh. Place, time, and person. The word Osham is taken out from a verse which is told to us when it came to the time of the giving of the Torah. So it says, V'har Sinai Osham Kulei. V'har Sinai Osham Kulei, the Mount Sinai smoked. The word Osham means smoked. So the Tzemach Tzedek, the third leader of Chabad, says, what does it mean, Har Sinai Osham? That the Har Sinai, the impact of the giving of the Torah, affected the three factors and the three structures of this world, which is time, place, and person. Everything was elevated to a higher level, like the smoke that rises. When we look at time, if the certain dates in the year, we see in a very obvious way how time, place, and person meet. An example, which is one that the Rebbe used very often, is Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur has three different features. Yom Kippur itself is the holiest day in the year, and it is a day that relates to the holiest section of the temple, where the Kohen, the chief Kohen, walks in once a year, the Holy of Holies, Kodesh HaKadoshim, and who's the one that's doing the service that day is the Kohen Gadol, the high priest. I'm trying to avoid the word priest. The high Kohen, the chief Kohen. So it's interesting, these three represent time, place, and person in the Jewish nation. In time, Yom Kippur is the holiest day of the year. Achas Bashon, it's referred to as once a year. And as Chassidus explains, Achas also means Yechida, referring to the highest level of a person's soul. A person has 5 different levels in their soul. They have Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, Yechida. 5 names, 5 levels. Anthology says 5 names. Chassidus explains it as 5 levels. Nefesh is the practical deeds of the soul. Ruach are the emotions, Neshama is the intellect, and Chaya and Yechida are the potentials of the soul that hover over the body. They do not enter in the body. There's no vessel that can contain them, and they're the ones that transmit messages from above, from higher heaven, to the person here in this physical world. Certain awakenings, certain alerts, certain messages that the Neshama receives, and it also permeates the person with regards to repentance and other messages that he receives. So this is Yom Kippur. The place is the Holy of Holies. the Holy of Holies, which is higher than time and place. We know when we speak about the Holy of Holies, which is the Holy Ark, which is found in the Holy of Holies, Kodesh HaKadoshim, it says that the Ark had two opposite extremes. On one hand, the Ark had dimensions, the length, the width, everything. On the other hand, the Ark was something that when we measured from one wall to another, the Ark did not take up any space. It didn't take up any space. It was completely higher than place. In the Talmud, it's expressed as with the expression "Mokim Oren Einem and Amida," that the Ark, was not part of the space. On the other hand, when we measured it, it took up space. Needed to build it. There's certain instructions. We have certain commandments, as it's mentioned, as we're going to learn it in a few weeks from now, in the Parshas Truma, which is in the Exodus, Chumash Exodus Shmos. Then comes the third thing. The third one is the person. The person Aaron was considered in the prophecy in the later books, Divrei Hayomim. It's called the Divrei Hayomim, the history of the different generations. Aaron was considered the Holy of Holies. It says on Aaron Akei, and it says Vayavdilei Aaron Kodesh Kadoshim, that Aaron was designated, the chief Kohen was designated as Kodesh Kadoshim, Holy of Holies. So here we have three of them, all in the same time. Person, place, time, and person. Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol, the Holy of Holies in the Jewish nation, on the holiest day in the year, walking into the holiest place of the world. The holiest place of the world is the Kodesh HaKadoshim. And this happened once a year.